We continue now at the top of Daf Tzadi Aleph Amid Beis in Meseches Nedarim. This is Nedarim Daf 91b. On the previous summit, the Gemara had a story of a wife who, when she would have relations with her husband, she would get up early the next morning and she would wash his hands. One morning she got up early and she washed his hands, and he said to her, "But we didn't have relations last night." So she said, "Ahaluye dahavahacha ha'idna." There were some non-Jewish aloe merchants who were here now. I antala, if it wasn't with you, if I wasn't with you, so dilma minhon, so maybe I was with them. So Amar of Nachman said, what happened over here is this wife, her eyes are set on another man. She really wants to be with another man. She's lying over here. There's no substance to her words. We don't have to believe her that she was with one of these non-Jews. And the Gemara continues with a similar story. There was a wife and she wasn't happy with her husband. Amar Lo, he said to her, why is it that right now you're unhappy with me? Amar Le, she said to him, there was never a time where I was in pain when we had relations except just now. Now you've put me in pain. Amar Lo, so he said to her, Lo hava hadamil sa'idna. He says, we didn't have any relations right now. I don't know what you're talking about. Amar Le, so she said to him, Im kain, if so, Halei nachrim naftuye dahava ha'idna. Maybe it was those non-Jewish oil merchants that were here now. Iyantala dil machad minhon. If it wasn't you, maybe it was one of them. And the Gemara says, Amrlu Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman said, Lo sashgichun ba, don't pay attention to her. We don't trust her. No senesei ba'achar havoy. This is also a case where she set her eyes upon another man. She wants to be with another man, and therefore she's lying to get away from her husband. And the Gemara continues, Hahu gavra dehave maharzik beveisahu v'intasa. There was a man who was secluding himself in a house together with a married woman. Allah mari devesa. So the owner of the house, he came, and he was about to catch them in the act of adultery. Parte noef lahutza. So the noef, the adulterer, he burst through the wall of palm branches, va'arak, and he ran away. Amar Rava, so Rava said, Itus Sharia. In this case, the wife is permitted. We can assume they didn't actually have the relations, because in Misa David Isura, because if it was true that the act of prohibition occurred, that they actually had the relations, Irchuse Havemircha, so he would have hidden himself, he wouldn't have burst out into the open. And the Gemara continues, Hahu Noef Da'alagabe Dayintasa, there was an adulterer, and he went into the house of a particular married woman. Asa Gavra, again, the man of the house came home. Solik Noef Isib B'chloi Bava, so the adulterer went, and he hid himself behind the door. So there was some cress that was sitting over there, and it was eaten by a snake, so there was venom, it was poisonous. And the master of the house, he wanted to eat from that cress without the knowledge of his wife, meaning to say he didn't realize that it was poisoned. So Amar Leahu Noif, so then the adulterer came out and he said to the master of the house, Lo teichel minhon, don't eat from there, because a snake has already tasted from it, it's poisonous, you shouldn't eat it. So Amar Rava, so Rava said in this case, Intase Sharia, his wife is permitted. Again, we can assume that no act of adultery was actually committed. In Misei David Isura, because if it had been true that he had committed the Isser, Nichalei Delecho Velema, so the adulterer would have preferred that the husband would have eaten the cress and he would have died. Dechsiv, because the pasuk says, because they are adulterers and there's blood on their hands, so we can assume an adulterer, he would have had blood on his hands, so to speak, he would have allowed that the husband would die. And the Gemara says, Pshita, isn't that obvious? Isn't it obvious that he must not have committed the adultery? Because of course if he committed the adultery, he would not have warned the husband. But the Gemara says not necessarily, Ma'u Detema, what might you have said? Isura Avad, really he did commit the adultery, he did commit the Isser. And the reason why he said to him, the reason why he warned the husband, because actually he prefers that the husband does not die, that Tihavi Intase Lavi, because that way the wife would be to him, Mayim Genuvim Yimtaku, like stolen waters which are sweet. Velechem starim yinam, and like the hidden bread which is pleasant. In other words, he prefers that this woman be married because then it's sweeter to him when he's committing the adultery. So that's why you might have thought that he actually wants the husband alive. Kamash Malon, so it comes to teach us, Rava comes to teach us that this is not the case. If he would have actually committed the act of adultery, he would have preferred that the husband would die. Hadran alach ve'elu Nedarim muslichala Meseches Nedarim. This is the conclusion of Meseches Nedarim. If you're enjoying these videos and this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And please take a look at the description box below to see how you can support this channel. And in the next video, we will begin Meseches Nazir.